What's up, you guys? Today we have the one and only Jacob. Jacob is my business partner. Jacob, he's Australian. He moved to UK where he met his now wife, Anya, and they had two kids. So they choose to move back to Australia with two kids, a wife, all the family, where he had to start everything from scratch. So he did build a business by himself until in 2020 Q1 his business has been generating $1.4 million. So in this interesting interview, we're gonna go through everything. Where is born? What did he do? Why he got into sales? The kids, family, dad, parents, everything. I just want to apologize because sometimes the microphone plays around, and I filmed this interview in 2 days, so we changed the clothes. But has been really interesting. Enjoy. Well, first of all, how was your quarantine? What have you done so far? What you've been thinking? Because I know you always have a plan or something going on.
Good question, Perry. Good question. Obviously, for us, the initial impact, if you will, of going into quarantine was dramatic as it was for everybody.
Yeah.
We made the decision to sort of leave the city and get out to the country, to the farm.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough that my mother has a farm, so we went there and spent 6 weeks in isolation there. I did a bit of fitness training, a bit like Rocky in Rocky 4. For anyone that's seen that, you'll appreciate what type of training I was doing. And we really got back to the basics. To be fair, I probably disconnected quite a lot from social media, email, and probably all the things that I've been spending a lot of time on previously, and sort of reconnected with my family, and probably more importantly with myself and my vision and goals of what I wanted to achieve. So that was probably the initial thing that I did personally, and then for our business and the people in our business, we were sort of lucky enough to pivot quite quickly. We had a lot of support from one of our longest clients, Marley Spoon, and were able to get 36 of our, I think we had 78 people in our organisation at the start of quarantine, and we were able to get 36 of them work in the sort of warehouse facility for Marley Spoon, which was great. So getting those people work was good. We set up a call centre, so doing outbound telesales on behalf of Marley Spoon. We've now diversified that role into a sort of health space outbound phone call telesale role. And yeah, I've got a few things going on the side. We're building out some different products and services that are going on. So it's been really busy. It's been enjoyable. That being said, like a lot of people, I'm very motivated and excited to get back in the game, if you will. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment.
Okay. Wow. And what's your first reaction when you got, like, because your organization is like offices in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Tasmania, Newcastle,
Adelaide.
What's your first reaction as soon as, boom, oh my God.
For us, I think I felt quite annoyed and frustrated because we were kind of stopped a week before everybody else in our industry. I guess our major clients had the foresight that what was coming, so they pulled us from the field a week early. So for me at the beginning, I was really annoyed that other people were still able to operate in our industry and we were not. That was quite frustrating at the beginning. And then a week later, it's funny how things sort of roll out. A week later, everyone else sort of hit the brakes as well. And we already had a week on them, and it's interesting. But having that week to sort of plan, prepare, and work out our next move actually was an advantage. That gave us, and really that helped us actually provide some support and guidance to other organisations out there that we're kind of a week behind us. It's only being 1 week ahead, but we're able to provide some learnings there, for sure.
And can I say the name of the clients?
Yeah.
We've done Mr. Young.
Yeah.
Okay, after we did the Cube Online.
Yeah.
Molly Spoon phone calls.
Yeah.
And after, what's the client?
Canella is the
Canella.
is the one we're doing at the moment. Yeah.
Like you found 4 different clients in a week.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. Yeah.
Wow, and it's funny because you kept the guys like I find it kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Like, something is going on. Let's do it.
Yeah.
This is the time to show the hustle muscle. So
Hustle muscle. That's a good one.
yeah, there you go. So in your head, when you just try to reach all the people you met during your your all of these years of experience, or you just start to call random people? How do you start?
I think it was a combination of everybody being in the same boat together and wanting to really support and help each other.
Yeah.
And it was very it was very congrusive. Everyone sort of saying, listen, I've got a client, do you need any help, and do you have guys, and those guys need work, and it was really just everyone helping each other in the sort of short term.
Yeah.
And that's how we sort of found our way forward. So I think in that has probably come from years of helping other people and treating people right, and treating people with respect, and looking after people. So that I think that sort of all came back to me and many others during this time. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to the origin. So you born in where?
I'm born in Barrel,
mate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you lived there for the first 18 years?
Yes. Yeah. Oh no, 16 years of my life I lived there. Yeah.
16 years. And after you moved with the family?
No. So I left home quite early. I left home at 15, moved out with my older brother who was 17 at the time.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, that was a disaster. Two of us living together at that age, but it was a lot of fun, which was good.
Where did you go?
We stayed in the Southern Highlands, and then we moved to Sydney, moved to Coogee, not far from here. And then I think,
You moved in Coogee when you were 18?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then decided to leave the country and, sort of explore and see what else was out there. And I think being involved in food and doing my chef's apprenticeship, it makes you realize that, when you're learning to cook food from all around the world, it just makes you realize that there's more to the world than what we have, here in Australia. So I guess the desire to want to scratch that itch, I should say, kicked in and started traveling. So I did Hong Kong, Germany, France, Ireland. Got to Ireland.
Just traveling, or?
Yeah, just traveling.
You were not working there?
When I got to Ireland, I started chefing, and then went from chefing to managing a bar, and then to eventually managing quite a big nightclub in Dublin. 2,500 people capacity. I sort of fell into that job. Fake it till you make it. So sort of that was a lot of fun. Met my now wife in Dublin.
Before we move there, these are good stuff. Okay, so what was your first job?
My first job was. It's an interesting question. So when I was 11, I had a few jobs. So I was the first one that I remember it like yesterday. I remember my dad saying to me, I wanted to get this shirt to go to a school disco, right? And I remember it was a Billabong shirt. It was blue paisley, and I really wanted this shirt. And I said to my dad, can I have some money to go and buy this shirt? And I remember the shirt was $49 back then, and my dad said to me, well, if you want to buy the shirt, you've got to pay for it yourself. And I said, yeah, but I don't have any money. And at that time, the only money I really had or made was, when you have a birthday or Christmas and, you ask for money, that was the money I had. And Dad said, you got to go make some money. So I thought, okay. So I went next door and I said to the neighbor, I remember her name was Norma. I said, Norma, would you like me to sweep your driveway? And she said, She said, yeah, sure. I said, I sweep your driveway and it's 50 cents. She said, no problem. So I swept the driveway 50 cents and I thought that was pretty easy money, so I knew I had $49 and, 40 cents to go. So I kept going around the neighborhood sweeping driveways, getting 50 cents each driveway. And then eventually I get to one house and I remember the lady said to me, do you offer any other services apart from just sweeping a driveway? And I said, well, we do.
11 is your...
Yeah, we do. I said, what would you be needing? And she said, well, I really need the lawn mowed. Can you mow the lawn?
Yeah.
I said, well, you may be interested in our driveway lawn package, which I said was $10. So I mowed her lawn and swept the driveway, $10.50. I took $10 for the both. And I kept going. Then another lady said to me, do you wash cars as well? I said, yeah, I wash cars. That's called the lawn driveway car package. That's $15, right? Long story short.
You package the service.
Long story short, I ended up making enough money to buy the shirts. And started a little business for myself, and my brother got involved, and a friend of mine offered him some work, and we sort of had this little business happening. And then and that wasn't enough, so I started doing a paper run at the same age, at 11 years old. Newspaper, the papers used to get dropped off, and
early in the morning.
Very early. I'd stay up, very early, 4 o'clock in the morning, rolling these papers, putting them in plastic bags, putting rubber band around them, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
Wow.
And my dad would then, drive me around the neighborhood. I'd sit in the back of the truck and, throw papers out at the back of the truck, delivering these papers. So that was my first taste of work and money, and understanding that if you want something, I think it's a good lesson my dad taught me at 11 years old. If you want something, you've got to go out and get it. But more importantly, by going out and get it, it forces you to think, how do I create a living? And I think that this is so relevant right now, right? Because so many people are put in a situation to where they go, there's nothing I can do. I'm gonna, get, subsidies from the government. There's nothing I can do. And there's other people going, well, what can I do? I think a lot of us right now, we lack our traditional resources, and it really calls on us to be quite resourceful at the moment. And, I enjoy that resourceful approach to life. So that was my first job.
That. And so you kept going, doing the little jobs until you were 16?
No. Then I started working at McDonald's when I was 14 and 9 months. That was the age you're allowed to work there. So then I had quite a few things going on. So I had the paper run, I had the lawn mowing at McDonald's. So I had 3 jobs by this stage.
And you were going to school?
Months. I was going to school. Wasn't doing very well at school because I realized I was making more money by not going to school. And then I got another job after school at the cheesecake shop. My job was to clean all the cake mixes at the end of the day. I remember I worked 6 hours. I worked 2 hours a day, 3 days a week, $6 an hour. I got there, so I made $36 a week doing that. And then I went from all of those jobs to then going into my chef's apprenticeship, and that was when I stopped doing all those jobs, because obviously I was doing 90 hours a week as a first-year apprentice chef and making $157.50. So it's interesting, but at 15 years old, a lot of people take a step forward in their income. I took a big step back by taking on a chef's apprenticeship because I had to drop all my little part-time jobs. So that was my sort of first professional. I think obviously I really enjoy food. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy the passion with putting together a meal. I enjoy the sort of short-term gratification in cooking. You can kind of do something, and at the end of the day, you've got a pretty cool result from it. And I think probably the other thing, I enjoy impressing people. I enjoy delighting people, and providing someone a great meal and making them happy. So I think that's probably where the love of cooking started. I started cooking at a very young age. I remember making my girlfriend's birthday cakes growing up, and making teachers, profiteroles. I used to make teachers desserts and take them to school and give them to teachers. And I struggled at school, right? So academically, I really, really struggled, but I excelled quite highly in home economics and cooking. So it just made sense for me to do that. And getting into a chef's apprenticeship meant that I could leave school at 15. So it's you know, for me, I saw it as a bit of a get out of jail card, really.
Yeah.
So that was why.
And your brother is older than you, or?
I've got two brothers. So I've got one 2 years older. His name's Luke, and he's a great landscape gardener. He still lives in the Highlands, has a lovely place down there. And then I've got a younger brother, 6 years younger, David, and he's done extremely well in the dressage arena of horses. So he's gone on to really excel at an extremely high level in that
Really?
field. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. And you grow up with both parents?
No, not so much. No, not so much. I grew up from a young age with both parents, and then they had a pretty rocky relationship. So that sort of, Dad was in and out of living with us until eventually they decided to part ways. So that's part of the reason I left home so early, is because that's really when my parents made the decision to call it a day, and that's when I decided to go sort of find my own way in life. So that was that was at 15.
Did it affect you much when you were that age?
I don't know, effect. Like, I think that I am the person I am today because of the upbringing that I had, and obviously I've got children myself now, but I think every generation's just trying to do better than the last, right? And it was interesting talking to my dad recently, and he was telling me about the violence that he used to experience with his father growing up, and he sort of said, he apologized for the violence that we experienced growing up. And when I compared the violence that we experienced, the violence that he experienced, ours was not as bad as his. And then if I look at the my children, I've chosen a non-physical approach to parenting. So hopefully that continues to live on through my kids, and they do better than I do, and we keep improving as life goes on, right?
Yeah. You think it's a form more of insecurity from a man that can't need to get physical? So I grew up with an Italian dad. Yeah, he smashed me. I love it. Yeah. I think he did a great job. Yeah. We're in a great relationship. And I see because I'm a kind of a kid who I need to face pain in order for me to learn a lesson. Right. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I saw I saw before some really good parents who didn't be able to teach kids without get to to physical. Yeah. Now I'm not saying go and smash your kids. I'm saying do you believe people get violent with the family is because they've been grown up like that, or sometimes it's needed?
I don't think it's ever needed. I don't condone violence at all towards children. I think that it's not fair, right? Because they're defenseless, right? They're it's not a fair comparison, an adult to a child, right? Yeah. So no, I don't condone it all, and I think you're probably on the right track with the insecurity part, and then I also think you're on the right track with you do what was done, and unless you have a sort of a switch in your brain to go, that wasn't good, what was done, then you will keep doing what was done, which is why violence has been around, and violence will always be around until people realize that you don't need to keep doing what was done. That there are better ways to parent children, and don't get me wrong, I've got a boy and a girl very young, and sometimes it gets extremely frustrating. But for me, under no circumstances, is hitting them an option,
Yeah, no, great. No, good. When I say violence, I mean, a little kick in the butt, oh, come on, do your work. That's the way I've been grown up by it. Okay, after you choose to become a master chef, he's actually really good. I tried the food, it's really good. And travel. Yeah. Correct? Okay. Your brother said, hey, let's go. Or you were the one you were
No, it was a mate of mine actually. So myself and a mate of mine said, let's go travelling, and we decided to leave Australia, and yeah, see what was out there really.
He
Yeah.
went to, which one was the first? Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, Germany, France, Ireland. Then sort of got stuck in Ireland for 2.5 years in Dublin,
Okay.
which I was only supposed to be there a couple of months. My mate kept going, and I
Stay in Ireland.
stayed put, stayed in Ireland, met my now wife there, and the rest is history really. Yeah.
Okay. So the plan is let's go traveling and let's see what happened. You didn't have a plan to stay, to come back, or you said let's go for a few months.
It was to do a year traveling around the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the goal.
And why you choose to stay in Ireland?
The people. The people. You don't stay there for the weather, I can tell you that much. But the people are just incredible people. Irish are just, as everyone knows, they're probably, in my opinion, some of the most likable people I've ever met are Irish. I loved it. Loved Dublin, and obviously, my partner was there, so
Yeah.
obviously I wanted to be there with her. So
Yeah.
that was it was.
So
Good.
there was more the trigger, like, oh, I like this girl, I like this place.
Yes, yeah, I would say probably liked the place and loved the
Yeah.
girl. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Anya. I hope she's gonna watch it. How did you meet Anya?
Yeah. So I was the chef and cocktail barman in this sort of first nightclub I worked in.
Yeah.
She was a Polish, 6 foot tall glamour glass girl. So she had to pick up the glasses and take them back to the bar.
Yeah.
She didn't speak any English. I say any, she a little bit, not much English. And yeah, that's how we met. It's funny because initially she wasn't overly keen on me. She didn't think I met the criteria. But obviously once she got to know me, she changed her mind. So I was lucky about that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you get a job in a club? How do you become a manager of a club?
Yeah, that's an interesting story, that one. So obviously I worked at the first club, which I was a chef and cocktail barman at, and I got fired from that club, and the reason I got fired from there is I had a friend come over from Australia, and I gave him free drinks all night, right? He didn't pay for a drink all night, and he had a great night. And I came in the next day, and the manager said to me, you've lost your job because you were giving away free drinks. And I said, okay, sorry. So I went home. My mate was still here from Australia, so we then went out to another club, to what's known as the Super Club called Spirit, and we went clubbing. Long story short, they had go-go dancers at this club, and one of them was a really big male go-go dancer on the stage, and my mate said, I dare you to slap him on the bum. I did. Yeah, this mate brought a few challenges in my life back then. But so I slapped this guy on the bum.
You fired or something?
Yeah, he jumped off the stage. True story. He jumped off the stage, come running across the dance floor. He tackled me, and it got quite aggressive. And then I got kicked out of that club. And being on Ireland, it was very cold, so I had to go back the next day to pick up my jacket that was in the cloakroom. And I went back, and they said, can we help you? I said, I just need to get my jacket. I left it here last night. I didn't tell them the story. And then I was talking to the guy, and I said, are you guys looking for any new staff? And the guy I was talking to happened to be the bar manager at the time. And he said, yeah, we actually are looking for new bartenders. Would you be interested in a job? And I said, that'd be great. I need a job. So I actually got a job the next day at the club that I got kicked out of the night before. It's funny, I was serving drinks, and the guy came up to me that tackled me, and he said, mate, I remember you. You're a funny guy. And we actually ended up becoming really good friends. So it was a funny sort of circle how that worked out. And that's then I worked there, and then I got headhunted from that club to another bar by a guy called Eddie Irvine, who used to be an F1 driver, but bought a club in Dublin. And then I got headhunted back to the Super Club and became the bar manager there. So at the age of 23, I was managing It had 5 levels, 8 bars. We're doing about 80 grand a night in revenue, so it was a pretty big job. I think I had 42 staff at the time. So
Nice.
it was a good experience.
And why you choose to leave, to go?
That's a good story too, Perry. My visa expired, so I then left the club that I was managing and I became a doorman, right? Because in Dublin you can be a doorman for cash, right? You don't, you don't need a visa. You need a visa, but you can get away with it. So I became a doorman for a little while, and one thing I realised about the Irish, not only are they the nicest people you ever meet, but they also love to fight, right? And Conor McGregor's sort of proven that to the world, and it was probably getting beaten up most weekends that I decided that it was time to leave Dublin and move to England and sort of take on my visa, because when you go into the UK your visa starts. So I decided to leave Dublin and go over to the UK.
And by then you were with your wife, with your now wife.
So we left Dublin together. We were living in Dublin together. We moved in together. We actually moved in together after 2 weeks of knowing each other.
Really?
So it was pretty quick. When you know, you know.
Wow. What? Wait. What? Wait. And why you choose to move together after 2 weeks?
It's I would say love. She would say it's because I was trying to save on rent. But we loved each other and we thought it was a good idea. So,
okay, and you moved in London.
And then we moved to London together, and obviously spent a big part of our life in the UK. So we spent 8 years there. So,
Nice. Okay. And chef in UK or?
No. I decided to not go back into the kitchen.
How old were you? Sorry. Then?
24 now.
24, you were in another country and you said, okay, I need something to change here.
Yeah.
Were you already, I'm looking for something where I can have a career, or you were like, I just want to change for fun?
No, I was looking for an opportunity. I didn't know what that opportunity was, but I was definitely looking for something that I could commit wholeheartedly to, and that had a purpose and a reason, and there was a reward for doing so. I was never struggled with hard work, but would get annoyed with having to put a lot of effort into something if there was no outcome with it, and I think chefing after a while got a little bit like that. Unless you own the place, you're eventually just working very, very hard for someone else. So so I decided to get into sales and see how I go with that.
So the first job was sales in UK.
Yeah.
Straight up. Okay, and tell me about your first day. So you applied. You went there like, oh, it looks cool.
Yeah.
And they took you out for an observation.
Yeah. So back then it was. They put you with a group of people, and then we got the train from London to Croydon, which was about an hour, and then we wandered around a sort of massive, I remember it, a massive council estate in Thornton Heath it was, and the guy that I was with was trying to sell people on changing their phone provider. At the time, he wasn't very good at it. He actually lost me during the day, which was interesting. So I just kept going around this council estate asking people if they want to change their phone provider on my interview day, and eventually he found me and he said, "Oh, I thought you went home." I said, "No, just cracking away." He said, "Well," I said to him, I said, "How are you going? You done any sales?" He said, "No, I haven't done any sales yet." He said to me, "But I can guarantee you I'm going to do a sale today." And it's funny, it got to 9 p.m. He still had not done any sales, and I said to him, "Mate, I think we should go home." It was a pretty dangerous council estate at 9 p.m. at night, and he said, "Mate, you can go home if you want, but as I told you, I will do a sale today." And I remember it like yesterday, 9:29, a lady opened the door, and she looked at us, and she said,
"What's wrong with you?"
She said, "Are you guys from Talk?" And he started pitching her, and I said, "Mate, just say yes." And she said, "I've been looking to change my phone provider from BT to Talk. Can you guys do that?" And we went in the house and signed her up. And I remember he looked over to me, probably 9:45. He looked at me and he said, "See, told you I was going to do a sale. And that was my first experience of sales. But then we got back to the office, and 11:30 at night, I got offered my first, direct sales job.
11:30 at night.
11:30 p.m. I was back at the office.
Was the manager there?
Well, it looks like we've lost the lights here. Yeah, you're right. The manager waited and went back, and they they offered me an opening, and I started the next day. So it was a hell of an experience.
We are now in the UK, and you had an observation.
Okay. Yep.
So you went out there with this guy who sold nothing all day. He's got the first
9:29.
9:29.
Yeah. Carl.
And you choose to follow him back to the office, and they offer you a position.
Yep.
My question for you is this: who the hell would follow a guy until 9:30 p.m. and still show up? Bullshit.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Well, first of all, I think before Carl did his first sale, I sort of felt a bit sorry for him, and I sort of felt obliged, if you will, to sort of stick by him for the day. And when he said to me, I can absolutely assure you that I will do a sale today, and then when that happened at 9:29, and I sort of watched him do that sale, I thought, you know what, the sale that he did was actually pretty easy. He just wasn't probably that good at sales at the time, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess I believed I could sell based on watching the sales process, and I believed in the opportunity. I believed in that people like people and people buy from people. I actually enjoyed the people aspect of the day.
Yeah.
And I thought if I can make some money doing this, then it's going to be a pretty cool job. So that was my initial enthusiasm towards direct sales, really. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So lessons learned for people watching, I would say, how important is to make a sale, an observation.
If someone's out with you for the first day, I think it's interesting, right? It's one of those things that just makes your life easier, right? It just makes your life easier. If you can, take someone in a direct sales format and you can show them what it is you're asking them to do, then you're going to find it easier to recruit that person, and then obviously easier to train that person. Have I recruited and retained people that didn't see a sale on the first evaluation day? Absolutely. But it just makes it easier. And I'd relate it to a first date, right? Yeah. And if you go on a first date and you go for a dance, to a club, and you do some dancing, if you don't know how to dance, it's not going to make it any easier to maybe have a cuddle with that person, right? Yeah. But if you do know how to dance, it might make your life a little bit easier. And for me, doing a sale just helps. It absolutely helps.
Okay, so you went there the next day. Did you make a sale?
On my first day?
Yeah.
No, I did zero. On my first day, I was, I thought I was much better than the person that was training me, and he said to me, you should do my pitch, and I said, I don't want to do your pitch. You proved to me yesterday it doesn't work. Yeah. So I kind of did my own pitch, and that didn't work either. So then I went back and learnt his pitch and sort of probably listened to him a little bit more after swallowing some humble pie. And then, obviously, I think it was my second day I did my first sale. I remember my first sale. I remember it like very clearly. First of all, he sort of said to me, Jacob, you can go off and give it a go yourself now. And I thought, all right. So I knocked on this door, and lady said to me, she said, do you want to come in? And I was like, oh, okay. So I walked in the house, and I just remember freezing, and she said to me, so, I'm happy to sign up. What do I need to do? And I really didn't know. I was like, oh, I don't know. And I'm pulling out. I filled it in, and I left the house, and I caught up with Carl. I said, Carl, I've done a sale. And, it's interesting. His face was like, there's no way that you did a sale. There's no way. I said, mate, trust me. And I go signed up, and he said, oh my gosh, you've done a sale. And he looked at the application. He said, well, there's some good news and bad news. So good news, you've done a sale, but bad news, you've missed both signatures, you've missed the date of birth, you've missed the bank details. So that's not going to go through. And he goes, to make it even worse, you've got the carbon copy. That's the customer's copy. You need the original. So I went back to the lady and I said, I'm really sorry. It's my first day and I need to get you to pretty much do it all again. And she said, no worries. I had a funny feeling it was your first day. And the rest is history, really. From that one, I really believed I could do it. So yeah.
Okay. When did you start to get consistent?
I would say 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks before I really started to get on a good roll and crack some consistency. It's interesting. At the time when I started, there was a lot of people that were much better at sales than me.
Yeah.
And I remember these people, Jez, Lex, if any of you end up watching this, Sandeep. I remember these guys, Phil. They were all much better at sales than me. But what I probably had over them is I had probably a higher level of determination. I wouldn't say I had a high level of ambition or anything like that, but I had a higher level of determination to become better than them, right?
Yeah.
So my work ethic was so much better than theirs, where they would go around their territory 2 to 3 times. Jez, he'd probably do once, he was that talented. I would go around my territory 6 times. I used to run so much when I started in sales that customers would ask me, is everything okay? Is somebody chasing you? I used to run between the doors so fast because I just knew that if I saw more people than everyone else, I had more chances of doing sales.
Yeah.
Then my level of enthusiasm and motivation. So on the door, I used to be so positive and so enthusiastic on the door because I thought that's what would sell, that the customers used to say to me, have you been drinking? You're acting drunk. And I'd be like, no, it's just a positive attitude. I'm just being positive. And those two things, work ethic and my positive attitude, doing that, day in, day out, not taking a day off, for a year and a half is really what, got me to the level that, I became, as good, if not better than those guys at sales and became a lot more consistent than they did. So
yeah. Have you ever questioned yourself, especially when you start in the business? A lot of things go to your mind. When you do great, it's the best job in the world. Oh my God, I can't wait next day, especially when you're new.
Yeah.
When you're not doing well, you start to think, I don't know, is this for me? Have you ever?
Yes, absolutely. Answer that question. Absolutely. I think that there's only been sort of one thought that's always gone through my head, right? And this is probably, from sport growing up or, I don't know where it's come from, but I've never wanted to quit any.
Yeah.
Right? Making a decision to quit something should be done at the highest point, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing really, really well at something and you don't want to do that anymore, then you shouldn't do that anymore, And I'll use, Ian Thorpe, one of the best swimmers we've ever seen in Australia, right? He quit swimming at 23 years old. He was the best in Australia and, he had a long time ahead of him of dominating the sport, but he quit. And he quit at his highest level. I don't judge a guy like that. I go, that's a smart move because he quit at his high point. He decided, I don't want to do this anymore, right? And for me in the sales industry, if ever I've decided or thought about quitting, I've always said to myself, Jacob, are you doing the best you possibly can be doing right now? And if the answer is no, I get myself back to a positive situation. Then I validate that question. Then I go, okay, now that you're back doing well, if you still want to quit, it's okay to quit now. And I give myself that okay. But it's so interesting. Every time, as we know, when you're doing well at sales, you never want to quit.
Yeah.
But when you're doing shit at sales, that's always the time you want to quit.
Yeah.
So I just would suggest making a decision to stay or go when you're doing well, not when you're not doing well.
Nice. Okay. So after that, you start to build your team.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And when you build the first person.
Yeah.
Okay. After how long you start to train someone? Like after.
Yeah, I really struggled to build a team at the beginning. Really struggled. And they used to say it's because I make people walk over hot coals to get good at sales, right? I probably I didn't spend a lot of time teaching people sales skills. I spent a lot of time teaching people work ethic and attitude, right? And a lot of people couldn't keep up with my work ethic. They couldn't do 6 laps around their territory. They couldn't stay positive or re-motivate themselves all day long. So they'd go, I just can't do this, right? And they would drop off, they'd drop off.
Yeah.
Then eventually I recruited a couple of great people. I remember them, Simon, Robin, Farhan, just some cracking people. Attitude, and were able to team, if you will, that started to build. And then, moving forward, I probably realized that having a good work ethic is important, but having a work ethic that scares the shit out of people, is going to be difficult to build a big team if people look at you and go, I just can't work at the level this guy works at.
Okay, so you start to build a team, start to get big until you get promoted as a manager.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the challenge you went through? Because I know once you become manager, people think like, oh, life is great right now.
Yeah.
What's what did you find? Because sometimes people expect, oh, life is great now when new skills are coming in, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had a lot of money coming in as a new manager, and I had a lot of money going out. I remember I was making £6,000-7,000 a week. That's how much money I was making then.
Wow.
And I was spending £11,000-12,000 a week that was going out, right? And that
you start to spend more or more your business expense.
Just everything. I had no grip and no understanding of my business and my business expenses. I had an administrator that was spending money, like it was, falling off trees. I'd get back from the office and there'd be a new desk and a new this and a new that. It was interesting. There was some, interesting things going on back then, but, all the money I made and it wasn't what it was all cracked up to be, really. And, and then I sort of had what we call in our industry a retrain from someone called Lawrence, and he showed me how to run a great business and not spend all your money. And that was really valuable for me, and that was really helpful. And some of those lessons 10 years ago I still emulate those today with our organization, our people, that it's great to make great money, but you need to be aware of what comes in, what goes out, what are the levers that you can use to make sure you're saving some money. And that for me, really over the last 8 weeks has been a really good lesson to understand that being good with money is actually quite important, and so many of us in these first world countries like Australia, we've got away with it for so long, this kind of making a lot of money, spending a lot of money, that there's never really been anything to catch us out. But the last 8 weeks has really proven that if you're shit with money, you're going to be queuing at Centrelink when shit goes bad. And, for me, focusing on getting really good with money, saving money, is really a big focus for our organization moving forward.
Okay. You always tell me the story. One day you were in the field and you received the call. The call was your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, mate, I got something for you.
Yeah.
And you had a baby.
That's it. Well, she was pregnant. I had a rule that you are not allowed to call me between 2 and 8 o'clock at night. Don't call me because I'm in the field, right? And if you call me, make sure it's really, really important, right? So my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she rang me and said, I need to speak to you. And I said, I really appreciate that, but I'm in the field, I've got to ring the bell. And for those that, I need to hit the goal. And she said, no, it's important. I need to speak to you. I said, okay, well, go on. And she said, you might need to sit down And, the first thing that came to my mind is that someone had died, right? That was the first thing that came to my mind. I sat down and she said, I'm pregnant, we're going to have a baby. And it may sound like a bad thing to say, but at that moment in time, I just thought, I better get really, really good at this industry. I now have a driving purpose to be awesome at this industry. And there it was. And then from that point forward, I was just on a mission moving forward. Nothing could stop me. I was on an absolute mission to become extremely great at this business. And thanks to our lovely daughter, Claudia, it still motivates me today. So yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. And why did you choose to move to Australia?
That's another story. To be fair, I really love living in the UK. I absolutely loved it. And I think, as you'll appreciate, being here in Australia from Italy, that once you're in a country for a certain amount of time, it becomes less about the accent. It becomes less about, where that country geographically is in the world. And it becomes more about the people, right? And you fall in love with the people in that country, and your friends, become family, especially when you're not from that country, as you'll know. And so for me, I love the UK. And business was good. We had an office in London, doing really, really well. We were very profitable. We had a good life, and we're really starting to get on a good roll, My wife had a great job. She was, I think at the time, she was general manager for a company called Zara that everyone will know. And she came home and she said, I quit my job today. I said, what do you mean you quit your job? And she said, yeah, because it's time for us to move to Australia. And I was like, holy shit. And, I think,
she said that?
Yeah, she said that. I think for a lot of men, maybe watching this, we always say we're going to do stuff like leave the UK and move back to Australia, but, it maybe, isn't really in the plan. So from that point forward, I was like, okay, well, I better prepare. So I moved, I moved from London to Norwich, and I opened up an office in Norwich. My family stayed in London. We got an office going there in Norwich with some great guys, Daniel and Joe, Obama, Winnie, some great people opened up that office. And then we got that office, profitable, and then moved back to Sydney. So that was the sort of leaving the UK and coming back to Australia situation. So, yeah.
What's your first reaction when you start to get back into business in Australia? What's your...
It was, why did I do this, I remember being by myself, running a morning meeting, for myself, motivating myself, and, to think that, a week before I was running a morning meeting for 25 great guys, and then I was by myself. I remember going to the field. I remember it like yesterday, knocking on doors in a place called Pymble, which will forever be my unicorn. So I went to Pymble. I was representing a charity called the Heart Research Institute.
Oh, yeah, I did that.
Which is not the Heart Foundation, and every customer will tell you that. And I remember knocking on doors in Pymble, and I remember getting to, I think it was 8:30 at night, and I was still on no sales. I got a call from a guy called Paul, who at the time was sort of the vice president of this organisation that was supplying me clients, was supplying me the Heart Research Institute. And Paul said to me, how was your day? And I said, well, if it's okay with you, Paul, I'm still pitching. Can I speak to you later? And he said, what do you mean you're still pitching? Do you not realise it's illegal to be pitching after 6 o'clock at night in Australia? And it was 8:30, and I was still pitching. And I said, well, I'm on zero and I need to extra mile to, I'm not finishing on zero my first day in Australia. And he said, mate, you need to stop pitching now or we're going to lose that client. So my first day back in Australia, I think I ended up finishing around 9 o'clock at night. I remember the street, everything where I finished, and I finished on zero sales. So it's interesting. I sort of had it on my, bucket list to go back to Pymble. And just so you know, and I hope, you don't share this with everyone that's listening, but I have never, ever, ever even stopped in Pymble again. like even stopped at a service station. I'm like, this place is evil, and sorry if you're living in Pymble, you're from Pymble, but I'm like, I've never, ever, never have I pitched there, never have I been back there. If I interview someone and they're from Pymble, I don't even recruit them. You know what I mean? I'm just anti-Pymble. So I need to get over that. It's something in my life to go. So it's actually one of my goals to go back to Pymble with the Heart Research Institute, with that client, and do a sale. So that's actually a goal. So if you know anyone that can give me that client, only for a day, for as long as it takes to do a sale, I need for my life. So.
And why Paul called you? Were you in contact with him already? Or?
Yeah, he was awesome. He was extremely helpful when I came back to Australia. He sort of said, you know, do you need a location? So I was renting a location from Paul at the time in George Street, which I know, you know, a lot of people have been trained there. A great location. You personally have worked from there. You know, he was just interested, and you know, to this day, you know, I trained with Paul yesterday, right, in the morning, you know. So to this day, he's remained a really, really great friend, and I think he just cared. He was just interested to see how my day was, you know. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice. Okay. And when did you start to build again? Which one was the first client? Was energy you were selling in
Australia?
Yeah.
No, I went from charities to meal kits, HelloFresh. So we were sort of the first people ever to knock on doors for HelloFresh. Well, originally we knocked on doors in London. So we were the first, I remember my team was the first 5 people ever to knock on doors for HelloFresh in London, in Fulham. I remember I sold to Shane Warne's PA, random memory, there you go. We then came to Australia. They knew I had some experience selling HelloFresh, so we started selling HelloFresh residentially, which, as we know, meal kits now are sold all over the world, door to door. So, you know, it's interesting to know that we were the first doing it. We did HelloFresh, and then we went from HelloFresh to, it was an interesting campaign. We did solar panel leads and LED light sales. So we would sell people to change their lights from halogen to LED and do a solar panel lead. That was an interesting campaign. We actually did quite well at that. We ended up doing so many sales for a company in the solar space that they actually went bankrupt. They couldn't fulfill the demand of sales that we put through. They actually went bankrupt. That's a true story. Then we went, which is interesting. And then we went from solar. I remember doing about $3.2 million in revenue for solar. Anyway, went from solar then over to fundraising. And then from fundraising back to HelloFresh. And then from HelloFresh then over to obviously Marley Spoon, and you know, we've been representing them and other campaigns for, you know, the really last 3.5, 4 years now. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. And why you choose to work with Storm?
It's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. I met a guy called Rasmus, who's the founder or co-founder, I should say, and CEO of Storm. And I met him November 2018 on a boat.
On a boat?
Yeah, on a boat.
Randomly?
No, I'd organised a Melbourne Cup day on a boat.
Yeah.
Right? And I invited a bunch of people along, and I invited one guy, his name's Melvin, and he invited Rasmus, and that's how it all worked out, right? So, anyway, on this boat, and Rasmus is talking to me about, you know, what they're up to. They had just started in Australia at the time, Rasmus and Melvin, and you know, they were sort of struggling to get any sort of traction, as we know sometimes when you start a business. They met me, and they sort of said, listen, we're interested in partnering with your business here in Australia, and you know, expanding and growing a business here in Australia. Would you be interested? And I kind of thought, what's the value add? You know, what can they bring to the table that I don't already have? And there was a lot that they could bring to the table. There was obviously the software implementation of what Storm brings to the table. There was the global presence of what Storm can bring to the table. And then, you know, for me, a lot of my business decisions have been made less on companies and clients and more on people. You know, and part of the reason why I was, you know, very interested in working with Marley Spoon and why that relationship developed so well is because of a guy called Dave Malcolm. Who, you know, to this day is a great friend and I think is an incredible business person, entrepreneur. And same with Rasmus. I saw Rasmus and I thought, you know what, there's a lot that I can learn from you. And, you know, Rasmus is, in the last 18 months, you know, is provided a lot of development, coaching, mentorship, and has really helped me scale my business. And I've never lacked motivation, work ethic, vision, goals, but I definitely have lacked the ability to be able to scale and almost remove myself from doing the everything and being in control, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that challenge and that problem. So Rasmus really taught me how to do that, and that's how we've sort of gone from one office in Australia to, you know, to 6 pretty quickly. And, you know, we will, without a doubt, I'm very positive that, you know, over the next 18 months, it will be close to 30 offices in this country. And, you know, that's just by learning how to scale. Because once you know how to do it, you can keep doing it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like, and what I saw is you just, because you went from UK to Australia and change client, change country, just start to build all over the country. Do you know what I mean? Like, when did you have a click? Like, oh, let me call this guy. Oh, this guy is in the list. Oh, these guys could be good at this. Oh, this guy, I need someone in Tasmania. Like, so like, did you reach your network, or they reached you, or what did you?
Yeah, I think it was probably a bit of both, right? I definitely, I'm probably the most approached guy in direct sales, you know, and that's what a lot of people maybe don't realize is that we could be probably triple the size we are today if I said yes to everyone, you know, and so many people have rang me and I think a lot of people in direct sales are, you know, probably tire kickers, you know, they sort of not really wanting to do anything different, but, you know, are interested to know, you know. So I had a lot of calls like that. And then we had some people that were just looking for another opportunity. You know, they sort of felt that they were not maybe put in the best position they could be in. They felt that, you know, there was more that they could do and be involved in. And, you know, for us with Storm, it's been a lot more collaborative of how we build the business, and less sort of dictatorship style, which has really helped. You know, if we look at someone like Shaba, he came from a direct sales business in the UK, and, you know, this guy has just done extremely well because we've just never said no to him, right? And that's something that, you know, really is an ethos in Storm. If you think you can, then we'll give you a go. You know, we'll give you a go. And, you know, we're about to see a lady called Jordana start running an office in Newcastle for us. And, you know, she rang me and she said, Jacob, I think I can do this. You know, and we're like, all right, well, we'll give you a go, you know, and that's what we do. We give people a go, and I think that's how we've been able to grow. And some people have failed from doing that, but that's okay. You know, it's okay. We can help them out, retrain them, and get them going again. So,
So, okay, last couple of questions and we're done. So the first one is, what do you think is going to make a person really successful in this business?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. What's going to make someone really successful in this business? I would say it's probably a mix of a few things. I definitely think that they need to be likable. You know, I absolutely think that if you're in direct sales, you need to be likable. You need to not rub people the wrong way. Right? And we all know those kinds of people. They're usually very good in IT. And no offense to anyone that's in IT, but they're usually very good at IT, and they're not a big fan of people, right? So number one, you need to be likable. You need to enjoy the company of people, right? Number two, you need to accept the fact that people are unpredictable. And for me, that's probably been the most important lesson I have learned in this industry that I didn't learn till quite late, right? Is that people are unpredictable. I have had people that I thought were going to be business partners for life that haven't been. They've let us down through whatever means, right? And then I've had people that I didn't necessarily think were going to be business partners for life that have become incredible people. You know, I look at someone like a Vicky or a David DeCosta, you know, this sort of duo. And, you know, if you'd said to me when I met David, do I think that, you know, this sort of very bogan style Australian, I remember he came for his first appointment in a singlet, you know, that was sort of tie-dyed, you know, and sort of board shorts.
David.
And I was just like, this guy's a joke. And, you know, he was just a really interesting guy. I would not have thought that he would really, you know, he's, I think 2 years in a row, he holds a record for most sales in the country. He's just an incredible, lovely guy. And he's done really, really well in our business. And I wouldn't have thought so, you know. So people who are unpredictable would be number 2. And then I would say number 3 is sometimes you need to do what's right for your business. And that's not always going to be what's right for you, you know. And sometimes you need to work when you'd rather be at home, you know. Sometimes you need to put in the extra effort when you'd rather be doing something else. Sometimes you need to work a weekend when you'd rather not. Sometimes, you know, you need to travel when you'd rather not, right? Sometimes you need to, and for me, over my career, making decisions that are right for my business, but not necessarily what I want to do at that time, have returned me and put me in a position where I can do what I want to do. Because I've made so many decisions over the years to do what's right for my business, you know? Yeah. And, you know, sitting here in this room is a good example. I didn't want to come and paint the office. I don't like painting. I'm not a good painter, right? But I knew what's right for my business is to come and paint the office so that when we restart, people walk in and go, I can see someone's made an effort here. I know that's right for my business. Yeah. And it's interesting, I was chatting to a friend the other day, who runs a massive organization in France. And I said to the guy, I said, what have you been up to? He said, I've been painting my office. I said, why have you been doing that? He goes, well, I need to get ready for when we turn back on. And I just think that there's a lot of commonalities in you know, with successful people globally that, you know, and sometimes it's not the fancy shit. It's the stuff that you don't see that's really important, you know. So do what's right for your business and you'll be able to do what you want to do.
Yeah. How much sales affect you personally, emotionally, as a father, and in relationship in general? Has it made you better person?
Yeah, probably the time for me, you know, sorry not to go too deep, but where I realized that I had a calloused mind, right? And for anyone that, you know, has read David Goggins' You Can't Hurt Me, you'll appreciate what that is. And, you know, a calloused mind is when you've been doing that, you're just tough and you're really, really, really great at it, right? And for me, you know, I don't know many people that have knocked on as many doors as I have and done as many sales as I have. I just don't. You know, I have spent a long time in the field. And I think changing countries was probably contributed to that I, you know, had to start again and build a business again. So I've done 2 careers, right? I've done one in the UK and then I came and did another one here. So I spent a lot of time in the trenches. I've spent a lot of time, you know, doing the digging, you know, and, you know, if you do a lot of digging, your hands get calloused, right? And, you know, they become tough. And where I realized how strong and calloused my mentality and my mind and how good I was in a situation recently when my mother rang me and she said, Jacob, you know, I think my husband's going to die, right? And, you know, my stepdad. I said, what do you mean? She's like, well, his aorta has dissected, you know, he's bleeding out and they don't think they can save his life, right? She's like, I'm in Canberra, he's about to have surgery, but doesn't look like he's going to make it, right? And as emotional as I felt for my mum at that time, what came through and came out of me at that time was, you know, strength and the ability to cope. And I've never been in that situation before where my mum's husband was about to die. I haven't. And, you know, I went to the hospital and I was the strongest guy there. I was the strongest guy in the room. And I was able to keep her together, the family together, and I was able to cope. And it's not because I wasn't emotional to what was going on. I was just strong, mentally strong. And I have no doubt that that has been developed from years and years and years and years and years of selling. No doubt, you know. And there's lots and lots of other, you know, traits that, as we know, all salespeople develop. The ability to build rapport quickly, the ability to relate with lots of people.
Yeah.
You know, we all know that the sort of surface stuff,
Yeah.
but for me, the deep stuff, the callous stuff is just that mental strength. And that mental strength was developed from, you know, turning up to the field. And, you know, last story for you, in a place called Harrogate in the UK. I remember turning up with 4 guys, and it was snowing, like that much snow. And the guys are like, well, we better go home. And I was like, no, we're going to go to the charity shops. We're going to buy ski gear. And we bought this 1980s fluoro ski gear. We put on our British Red Cross bibs. We went to the field and we knocked on doors. And it was that shit in my mind. Back then, it was that to cope with my mum. Do you know what I mean? It was putting myself constantly in those situations. Is why I've been able to cope in, you know, I can tell you many stories where I've held it together where most people crack.
Nice. That's a really good point, because I see he's actually a really good father. I have to say that. You see the kids, they're fantastic. So, how are you teaching this stuff to your kids? Are you more of a nice...
Yeah, it's interesting. I wouldn't say that I'm an overly strict and tough husband, or I should say father. You know, my wife is very good at that. You know, and she is. She's great at that. But also with my children, they know the difference between right and wrong. They know the importance of treating people with respect. They know the importance of believing in themselves, and that's really, really important. They know the importance of giving 100% regardless of how good you are at something.
Yeah.
They're aware of that. They know that I'm not going to do it for them.
Yeah.
You know, that they need to step up in certain situations. And the example I give you recently is I'm teaching my son to ride a motorbike with gears, right? So we bought him a little Pee-wee, which doesn't have gears, you know, a bit like a scooter. And now he's been upgraded to an 80, right? And there's not many 8-year-olds that can ride a bike of that size. There's just not, and he probably shouldn't be riding it. It's too big, it's too powerful, whatever, right? But I'm like, no, you know, he's good enough to ride this bike. He just needs to learn. So put him on the bike. He can't start it because the compression in the kick is just too hard for his little leg. So first I teach him how to put the stand down, and then how to stand up on the seat, and then jump up really high so you can start the bike. So I'm teaching him, right? Then he can't change the gears, it stalls. So then I'm teaching him what to do. You know, then he falls off. He can't pick it up because it's too heavy. So then I'm teaching him how, when you've got a heavy bike, how you pick it up. So I'm teaching him these things. And now he can do all these things himself, right? And I think that so many parents, they do the hard shit for their kids so that, because they don't want to see their children struggle, right? If you do that, your children will struggle to do things for themselves. And then when they have to go into the real world and do things for themselves, they won't be able to. So, you know, my children know that I'm there for them, but I'm not going to do it for them. And that's been, you know, really helpful. And, you know, I see them, you know, very capable children for their ages. You know, they're great.
Yeah. All right, man. Last question before we finish. So what's the plan when we go back? What's the future?
Yeah, it's you know, I think like a lot of people, it's, you know, it's the bulldog on a leash scenario, right? You know, for us, I've been, you know, really fortunate to really be able to spend a lot of time really looking at our business and working out how we can be more efficient, more productive, provide better lifestyles for people, do better, grow faster, and, you know, and I'm really excited. It's sort of, you know, if you can relate, it's sort of you've sort of, you know, made a billy cart or a go-kart, and you've tightened all the nuts and you've got it all ready and it's just ready to go. You I reckon it was probably still 1 or 2 weeks away from having the race car track ready. But, I'm really excited to get back into it. And, I'm confident and ambitious of what we can achieve as a business. I really believe we have some incredible people in our business. You obviously included, and your ability to do lots of things is great, but your ability to do direct sales is just unbelievable. So I believe that with the people that we've got, the people that we can attract, and I'm a firm believer that like attracts like, and we've got some great quality people that will attract great quality people. I really believe that by the end of 2021, December, that our organisation will be at 300 people in Australia. I really, really believe that. And that's sort of the goal that we're working towards at the moment. That's not the end goal, but that's, a target that we're working towards at the moment. And I'm just really, really excited to see where that goes. We're going to be very, very focused on commercial clients. There's a lot of focus in Australia on NGOs and charities, which I think is great. But a lesson that I learned very young is observe the masses and do the opposite. And that's really helped me in my life, that watch what everyone else is doing and then go the other direction, or try and work out a different way of doing things. So, for us, commercial clients is a big focus. Growing across Australia and giving more people an opportunity. I definitely think that, we have an ability with our business to be able to offer that opportunity to people wherever they may be in the country. If they're living in Wagga Wagga, I'm sure there's 2 or 3 people there that would like an opportunity to do some sales. If they're living in Albury, Wodonga, there's probably 4 or 5 people there that would like an opportunity to do some sales. And, I would like to offer our business, to people around Australia to be able to get involved. And then I think that the second thing for us is really focusing on recruitment. We have some incredible recruiters, some very talented people. And I'd also like to build out that side of our business, which goes hand in hand with our sales business, but build out that side of our business and then look at ways that we can offer more people opportunities in that space too, in that opportunity of recruitment space as well. So, I think it's exciting.
Nice, okay. Hey, thank you so much. That was good. Wow, that was like a 2 days interview. I'm gonna put Jacob's page down below. Okay, if you wanna DM him on Instagram. He does a daily video. Do you?
Quick vids. Yeah. Quick vids. That's it.
Next time. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.